You've probably been scrolling through a dozen laptop pages, trying to figure out which mobile workstation will actually let you get work done without turning into a money-draining experiment. You don't want to spend a fortune on a machine that ends up collecting dust because it can't handle the software you rely on, and you're also wary of the great specs on paper trap that leaves you frustrated in real life. I get that, and I'm here to break it down for you so you can decide if the Lenovo ThinkPad P14s Gen 6 is the right fit for the kind of work you do. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about what a mobile workstation is supposed to solve. Professionals in engineering, architecture, video production, and increasingly data science are looking for a laptop that can run heavy CAD assemblies, render 3D models, or accelerate AI inference on the go. The key ingredients are a reliable CPU that won't throttle under sustained load, a GPU that's been validated for professional workloads, enough RAM to keep large datasets in memory, and a screen that shows detail without forcing you to squint. The P14s tries to bundle all those pieces into a 14.5-inch chassis that's still light enough to carry between client sites. The core of this ThinkPad is Intel's Core Ultra 7255H, the newest iteration that brings Intel AI Boost into the mix. In plain English, that means the silicon has dedicated instructions for accelerating on-device AI tasks. Think of running a TensorFlow model to tag images, or using a low-latency speech-to-text engine while you're on a call. For a freelance video editor who uses AI-driven upscaling tools, that extra boost can shave minutes off each render. It's not a substitute for a full-blown server, but it does make those quick AI tweaks feel snappy rather than a slog. On the graphics side, Lenovo paired the CPU with an NVIDIA RTX PRO 500 from the Blackwell generation. It's a 6GB card aimed at professional workloads, so you'll see certified drivers for software like Autodesk Revit, SolidWorks, and Adobe Premiere Pro. In practice, that translates to smoother viewport navigation when you're rotating a complex mechanical assembly, and faster GPU-accelerated effects when you're color grading footage. It won't replace a desktop RTX A6000, but for a field engineer who needs to run simulations on site, it's a meaningful step up from integrated graphics. Now, the display. At 14.5 inches, the ThinkPad P14s offers a 1920x1200 WUXGA panel with a 60Hz refresh rate. The extra vertical pixels give you a little more screen real estate than a typical 1080p laptop, which is handy when you're scrolling through long spreadsheets or looking at tall CAD drawings. The panel is also calibrated for decent color accuracy out of the box, so you don't have to spend a weekend tweaking settings before your first client presentation. If you're used to 4K panels, you might miss that crispness, but the trade-off here is battery life and lower power draw, which helps keep the workstation portable for a full day's work. Speaking of storage, the 1TB SSD is an NVMe drive that feels instant when you open a 200-page Photoshop file or load a 10GB project in After Effects. Coupled with 32GB of DDR5 RAM, you have enough headroom to keep several heavy applications open without the system swapping to disk. In my own test workflow running a CAD model, a video timeline, and a Python notebook simultaneously, the machine stayed responsive, and I never saw the dreaded low memory warnings that can cripple productivity. All of those components come together in a chassis that still feels like a ThinkPad. The keyboard has the classic tactile feel, the trackpad is precise enough for quick selections, and the ports include a full-size HDMI, a couple of USB-C Thunderbolt 4 connectors, and a dedicated Ethernet jack. That Ethernet port is a small but valuable detail for field work where Wi-Fi can be spotty. You can plug into a rugged router and maintain a stable connection for large file transfers. Now, let's address the practical downsides. First, the refresh rate is capped at 60 Hz. If you're a gamer or even a video editor who enjoys a buttery smooth preview, you'll notice the difference compared to a 120 Hz panel. That's a conscious choice by Lenovo to keep power consumption in check, but it does mean the screen isn't the best choice for fast-paced gaming or high frame rate animation playback. Second, the battery life, while respectable for a workstation, hovers around 6 to 7 hours under mixed use. If you're planning to be out on a construction site all day without a chance to plug in, you'll need to carry a spare battery or a power bank. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to factor into your day planning. Third, the upgrade path is limited. The RAM is soldered, so you're stuck with the 32 gigabytes that comes from the factory. For most professionals that's plenty, but if you anticipate needing 64 gigabytes for massive datasets, you'll have to look at a larger ThinkPad model. The SSD is replaceable, which is good, but you'll need a spare drive.